Welcome to Taiwan for round 6 of 2015 Audi RE LMS Cup here at Podium International Circuit in Taiwan for the first of 2 races on today's program. Yesterday, Italian racing star Eduardo Mortara claimed the victory in round 5, crossing the finish line ahead of Chinese motorsport star Frankie Chen and the racing star Thomas Feldbach. And Taiwan's Johnson Huang took the win in amateur class. And today we saw a steady flow of fans cross the gate to support the local heroes Jeffrey Lee, Kevin Chen, and the television star Yao Yuanhao. But before, all the cars, as we can see, will be on position, move off the grid. Now it's our time to welcome our commentators.
Thanks, Sophie. It's nice to have Graham Harvey here back in the commentary box this weekend. Welcome back, mate. It looks like we're in for another hot day of action here in Pen Bay.
Yes, hello, good morning everyone in Asia. If you're watching in Europe, grab yourself a whole load of coffee because we're going to have a very exciting double header today, and the first race looks an absolute cracker.
It's going to be interesting to see how the drivers cope, but the 2015 Audi R8 LMS Cup has already continued to provide some outstanding racing, and the first ever race in Taiwan yesterday at Pen Bay International Circuit was just the same. There are a number of returning drivers here this weekend, as well as some strong local talent, but all will be looking to challenge yesterday's race winner, the Italian Edoardo Mortara, who is subbing for round 4 winner Rahel Frey. Timely to look back now on the Nurburgring 24-hour race last month and the fantastic result for the Audi Sport Customer Racing Asia team.
Alex Young, Frankie Chen, Marchi Li and Sean Tong have made history as the first all-Asian Audi team to tackle the grueling 24 hours Nurburgring.
It's really amazing to be here.
Audi continues to lead the way in Asian motorsports, while we are providing at the same time opportunities for Asian talents to shine in the global stage.
We all have a big respect to the circuit. It's one of the most challenging and dangerous circuits in the world. It was a lot of fun. I mean, this track is crazy.
I was racing for 20-something years, and I never thought that it's so insane.
After qualifying 32 from over 150 cars, the number 15 car of the Audi Race Experience team chose Alex Young to take the crucial first stint at the wheel in this iconic race.
The atmosphere is absolutely amazing. If you see that around about 200,000 people are camping here, they're coming for a whole week to celebrate. It's a festival and it's a 24-hour race together. So motorsport is very, very near at the public. So this is very unique in the whole world.
Even with over 150 cars taking part, the first 6 hours went smoothly for the Asian drivers, with Marchi Li taking over from Alex Young, followed in turn by Sean Tong and then Frankie Chen. Right from the start, the top 30 teams began pushing hard, resulting in constant jostling for position on the track and not a few accidents. The green hell had claimed its first victims. During the night, a treacherous mix of wet and dry conditions added to the challenge and the tension.
Die Strecke ist ja über 20 Kilometer lang und unten in der Hatzenbach haben wir leider ein Auto verloren, wegen dem Regen. Also das ist ja das Geheimnis da, dass es verschiedene Plätze gibt, wo es nass ist, die Strecke, und verschiedene, wo es trocken ist. Und das macht die Schwierigkeit aus in der langen Rennstrecke.
Sean Tong, who had originally been scheduled to drive just a single night stint, was tapped for a second one after notching up some sizzling lap times. As dawn broke, so too did the weather, and the surviving drivers enjoyed fine conditions throughout the rest of the day. The Asian team's number 15 car moved up 1 position to 14th overall, while Marchi Li took over from Alex Young with just 1 hour left on the clock. Li calmly brought the car home safely, not only managing to maintain his position, but actually gaining 2 further places to finish in a fantastic 12th overall for the Asian team. The team's achievement contributed to the overall success of Audi at the 24-hour race, with the Audi Sport Team WRT taking overall victory by a margin of 40 seconds in the new Audi R8 LMS GT3 car.
It's great, you know, first time here, all of us racing together, so yeah, pretty happy. Hopefully come back next year and do even better.
It has also shown that the young driver development program has really worked. All of the drivers have performed excellent, so I'm absolutely pleased, and I'm looking forward for the celebration now, and maybe come back next year.
From one of the world's most famous circuits to the Pen Bay International Circuit facility here in southwestern Taiwan. 3.527 kilometres in length, was first opened in October 2011. Features 16 turns, including 9 left-handers and 7 right. Clockwise rotation, the Audi R8 LMS Cup cars won't hit top gear on the long front straight, or relatively long, considering the overall length of the circuit. However, they will be well and truly battling in that very tight left-hand first turn. Heat will be a big issue. You can see the heat haze on screen there, with cockpit temperatures reaching up to 65 degrees. So we saw a very interesting race during round 5 of the championship yesterday. Of course, Eduardo Mortara claimed victory ahead of Frankie Cheng, and it was Thomas Fjordbach and Aditya Patel. Marchi Lee had a tough run, but recovered to come back through to position number 5. Had a Stefano Montesi and reigning champion Alex Jung. And it was Ko Yu and Johnson Huang who did a great job to win the AM class. You can see Kimi Chin there in position number 11 ahead of Ashraf Dewell. Very hot there on the grid. Everybody's getting ready and organised to start this race. And Graham, we saw an absolute cracker yesterday in the heat, and that was the big subject of discussion. So throwing down to Sophie on the grid. We will catch up with everything going on as we prepare for round 6 of the Audi R8 LMS Cup.
Hi, Bernd. Thank you so much for joining us. And as we feel now, the weather is definitely hotter than yesterday, and my shoes feeling melting. And how do you think this kind of weather condition going to affect the driver's performance today?
Yeah, I have the same feeling. Yesterday we had already over 50 degrees track temperature. So this morning I think it's even more hot. I think for the drivers it's quite challenging in the cars, and it will be very hot for the 30 minutes. But yesterday they made it, but they needed a lot of water, so they will drink probably a lot afterwards.
Hope most of the drivers won't get dehydrated after the race, but we believe they will do a very good job. So we're looking forward to see who will come out on top in today's round 6 podium. Now is our time to cross over to our commentator.
Thanks, Sophie. Bern made a very interesting point. We're just talking about the heat, and it was interesting to see, Graham, the reactions of some of the drivers, even Eduardo Mortara, who races a lot worldwide. He said that was the most difficult conditions yesterday in race 1, just 30 minutes, that he'd ever faced in his career.
Well, you can just see there by the shot, we're looking at the heat haze. It must be at least about 45, 50 on the track at the moment. So these guys are actually literally racing around in an oven for about 30 minutes. They're going to lose some weight. So this is how round 6 lines up. We've got Mortara in P1, but he's got that extra 50 kg. So Marchi Lee is hopefully going to try and take a jump on him at turn 1. Now Thomas Fjordbach, is he going to go left or right? Because he's got 30 kgs advantage over Mortara. And down at the back of the grid, we've got Alex Aru, Ko Yu, and rounding up the field is Sam Locke and Winch Lee.
You're talking about the weight penalties. Of course, the winner yesterday carries an additional 50 kilograms, second place 35 kilograms, and third place Thomas Fjordbach will carry an additional 20 kilograms. So it's by way of penalising the successful drivers to bring the field back up. So very interesting. This weekend is the first time that the Audi R8 LMS Cup has travelled to Taiwan, so we thought we'd give you an up-close and personal view of the 3.5 kilometre circuit with yesterday's race winner, Eduardo Mortara.
Hi, it's Edo, and now I bring you for a lap in Podium International Circuit in Taiwan. Here we go for a lap around the Podium International Circuit. Main straight, full revs, fourth gear, coming into the first corner. Very fast left, clipping slightly the inside curve, going into the second corner, third gear, very, very long corner, where the exit is quite important. Straight afterwards is quite long, up to the gears fourth, and then braking back to third. Again, a very long right corner, where the exit is quite difficult, coming into a very, very short and tight hairpin. First gear, exit can be quite tricky, critical there. Traction can be a bit difficult to get, and we go up to the gear second, third, a fast left where we keep third, coming into an hairpin, third, second, first gear. Exit there is quite important. We use all the exit curve on the exit. We go up to second, back to first for another hairpin. There the exit is also quite important. We have a fast kink where it's we can be quite easy to overdrive the car. A fast left in third gear, going into another very, very long left corner, keeping third gear. The corner is tightening up at the very end. Going into a right corner in third gear again. Exit there is quite important. We use all the exit curve, going into some medium fast corners, where it's always very important to let some minimum speed. We go out of this corner, quite long straight, up to the gears, third, fourth, into the last corner, second gear, clipping the inside curb, going out using the outside curb, and that was a lap of Podium.
Joining me here on the grid is Mr. Alex Young. Now, Alex, things didn't go quite as well as you'd hoped yesterday. However, crucially today, no weight in the car. You start from 6th on the grid. What's the plan?
Yeah, it was tough yesterday. Got bumped out on the first lap, and then two dampers went down on me yesterday. Of course, of how bumpy this track is, kind of ruined the race pace. The car's okay. A little bit of a panic with a couple of things, but hopefully today will be good.
Great, thanks very much. Good luck. Back to you guys upstairs.
Thanks a lot. We've just got a couple of minutes to go as the grid girls exit the track, and this is what's amazing about this Audi series, with the increase of the ballast with 50 kgs going to the winner. The drivers now with this standing start, with that extra weight, dead weight literally from the standing start. You've got to really choose your tactics very carefully for this race.
It's going to make it very interesting, as you say, Graham. There's 3 drivers that are carrying an additional penalty. You think about the 50 kilos. It's like a small teenager, I suppose, sitting in the passenger seat, that is going to retard how quickly you can accelerate off the line. That is going to have an impact. So they will have to take that also into consideration with the launch control, the way these cars get off the line. So there's a whole number of variables. The temperature is a variable. What line you're going to take. As you said, push to pass. They have push to pass ability. What that does is it gives the car an additional 50 brake horsepower. So from 550 to about 600 brake horsepower. They've got it for 5 seconds, but it can only work under full throttle. So they have to be under full throttle. So it's not going to happen mid-corner or any of those things. They don't want that sudden burst of speed anyway. It's not going to work to their advantage. But they've got to consider they have 14 push-to-pass opportunities in this race. Do you use it early and try and get position off the line? Or do you use it for defence in case somebody tries to attack your track position later in the race? An awful lot of things for these guys to continue to process. We were talking to Alex Au earlier in the weekend, and he said, as a gentleman driver, this is a lot to process. It's the other problem we've got is this intense heat, hotter than somebody like Eduardo Mortara, who's been driving his entire life essentially, has never seen temperatures like this before, whereas the AM drivers, they don't do the racing all the time, not physically prepared for something, a test of endurance like this. So all of these things are playing into their minds. A couple of drivers were saying yesterday they weren't quite hallucinating, but they could feel the heat over the last 5 or 6 laps, and it had a big impact on their pace.
And as you see the grid from that track position, Marcelli must be absolutely laughing, because he's on the right side of the track when we come down to turn 1. He's on the inside, so he hasn't got any extra weight, while his competitor Mortara is on the outside, which should mean that Marcelli has a free run into the first turn. But then Mortara's got to worry about Aditya Patel and Thomas Fjordbach behind him. I'm sure Fjordbach must realise that he's now got to choose which side of Mortara to go. Does he go on the outside or the inside? But if he goes goes on the inside, then he probably knows that Aditya Patel's going to try and make that move as well. So it's going to be a really exciting start with this round 6 here at Pembe.
There is a third option. It could be, of course, that as an experienced campaigner with standing starts, he competes in the number 48 RS5 Audi DTM car in Germany. They do standing starts, so he's well versed in how to get off the line. He may be able to put all of that together, even despite that additional 50 kilos. It could also aid traction. If you think about it, the grip with the extra weight, they will get more fire off the line. So be interesting to see. It's only a couple of minutes away from actually finding out what will happen and how this race will unfold, but it's certainly going to be interesting, and there's so many different factors that will come into play over the next 30 minutes.
So it's great that we're actually here at Taiwan. Audi have really focused hard on Taiwan since 2009. They've upped their models to about 70 different models so far now, and they had their highest ever car sales last year. So Audi loves Taiwan, and if you look at the crowd outside, Taiwan loves Audi, as we're just about to start to get off the grid for their warm-up lap. Now, if you're watching on the right-hand side, there was Marcelli. On the left-hand side was Mortara. It's going to be a battle to the first corner, as they are going to get the light to move off the grid. Mortara takes them away. Marcelli, oh, he's finally managed to kickstart that engine. For one horrible moment, I thought maybe he'd stalled the car.
Well, he could also have been trying to lay a little bit of rubber down just to give himself that bit of extra grip on the run down to turn 1. The other interesting thing too is the grip level on which side of the circuit, because obviously the important line under racing conditions is the outside, so they'll come out wide and dive across turn 1, aiming at the apex of turn 2, braking on the way in, because we've seen there's some very big extended height curbs on the inside of turn 1. They don't want to hit those. They're as much as 200, 250 mil high, so very big concrete curbs. They want to avoid that, so they have to brake into turn 1, dive across to the right-hand side, but the grip is on the outside of the circuit. The inside of the circuit is clean, essentially, because nobody's used it. That's not the ideal racing line. So the grip may not be there. So there's another thing you've got to take into consideration. Marchi may have looked at that and thought, well, I need to lay a little bit of rubber down. I'll line myself up on the tyre marks. You often see the Formula One drivers do it ahead of the start, and then I'll launch off that little bit of extra grip that I've managed to lay down off my Control Michelin tyre.
So if you're Marcelli, would you gamble and try and use as many push to passes as you can on the first lap to guarantee the lead, and then try and dictate the pace throughout the race?
I think you'd guarantee that, and I think you'd also, looking at what we learnt yesterday, there's very few real overtaking opportunities on this 3.5 kilometre Pembe circuit. Turn 5 is one of them. We saw a little bit of contact. In fact, Marchi had contact with Frankie yesterday down there on the opening lap, because he knew only too well that that is one of few opportunities early in the race to make a passing move. If he can get away, Mortara's hampered by that additional 50 kilograms, he may well have given himself the opportunity to go ahead and take this win, because he knows how to win in the Audi R8 LMS Cup as the 2012 champion in the Cup's debut series.
And let's not forget the amateurs. There's also the amateur division here, and Andrew Kim had a great battle yesterday with Johnson Huang. So we'll keep up to date, because we know that a lot of people on live streaming are looking out for their local heroes. I guess there'll be many in India, hoping that Aditya Patel manages to get on the podium today. So we'll be keeping you all up to date on the amateurs, as well as the Four Rings Trophy as well. So they start to line up. So Sean, do you think March is going to gun this to the first corner?
I think that's what's going to happen. The third ever standing start in the 4-season history of Audi R8 LMS Cup, and Graham, take it away. It's going to be very, very interesting.
So we're just waiting for the last car, that is Winch Lee, to finally get into his position. The safety car is the marshal's car. Is just going to make sure everyone is set and ready. The engines are revving. Those little fingers over that red button on launch control, they'll be twitching away, waiting for these lights to light up, and then we're going to be going fast and hard into turn 1 for round 6 here at the Pembe International Circuit for the Audi R8 LMS Cup. So we're all waiting with bated breath. Hopefully all the cars are set and ready. The lights are on, and we are hopefully away for round 6 at the Audi R8 LMS Cup. Mortara tries to make a move on Marchely, but Marchely uses his push to pass very well. Mortara's coming off the outside, and also here comes Thomas Fjordbach. So it's all hard fighting around the first turn as they go up now to turn 3.
Thomas Fjordbach made the most of that start to get inside, but did you see how Mortara moved across on Marchely? He knew it was his only opportunity to try and keep the Hong Kong driver out. Now look what's happened. He's gone wide. Lee's gone wide trying to defend from Mortara. That's allowed Thomas Fjordbach into the front. Turn 5, this is the passing opportunity. Is he going to squeeze Mortara wide? Yes, he is. It's a drag race. Mortara's got 2 wheels on the grass.
So they're fighting hard in this turn 1 to get to dictate the pace in the front, and it is Fjordbach in the lead from Mortara. Mortara knows he's got to actually get in front of Fjordbach. He's got that extra 50 kgs, and maybe if he can get into the lead, then he can just hold the others up with that extra weight.
As a young driver, this has got to be the perfect opportunity to gain experience. Let's see a little bit of carbon fibre, so there's been some contact. So Fjordbach and Mortara have made contact. Fjordbach's dropping right back now. He looks like he's got damage to the front of the car, so that's disappointing for him. That would have been a great lesson to learn from the Italian star.
And I think Alex Young's capitalised as well. He's jumping up the field. So Mortara is in the lead here, and this could be a repeat of yesterday's round. So can Mortara, he's got the extra 50 kg, so he's working hard to build up a little bit of a daylight between himself and the number 2.
Well, we're talking about push to pass. You would put money on the fact that Eduardo Mortara has used a number of those push to pass. Now that he's got the opportunity to get to the front, he wants to open up that advantage and get away as quickly as possible. Marchely, what could he have done on the opening lap? He's now dropped back behind reigning champion Alex Young. He's now back in 5th position. So Aditya Patel too has been moving forward. He's done a great job. He's now up to position number 2 and of course took the championship points lead. That looks like it may be Yan Hao on the exit of turn 1. Well, there's Stefano Matesi, very similar colouring on the car. So the local TV personality looks like he won't go much further than turn 1. That's disappointing for him.
And something's happened to Thomas Fjordbach because he's jumped all the way down to P17. So lap 1 is done and dusted with Mortara in the lead from Aditya Patel. Then it's Frankie Chen, Alex Young, Marchely, Kevin Chen, Stefano Montesi. That's your top 7.
Good job by Stefano Montesi. He continues to move up the order here. He's been very competitive over recent years, likes to run with the pro drivers, doesn't like to consider himself an AM, even though in the full definition he probably is. So he's doing a great job, the Asian-based driver. But Aditya Patel, who took the points lead by virtue of finishing 4th here yesterday, been very, very consistent, just like Thomas Fjordbach. Fjordbach's right in this championship hunt too, up until this current position, where, as you say, Graham, holding down position number 17. It looks likely he has had an issue after contact, potentially off-screen, with Eduardo Mortara. Now, Mortara's got another thing to consider here. The other element that we didn't discuss too much earlier in this race is they have 2 sets of tyres to complete these 3 30-minute races. Not great tyre wear on the Michelin S9L, a very durable, harder compound tyre, runs within the temperature ranges that we've seen here this weekend, so it shouldn't have high tyre wear. But there is an element of drop-off as the tyre life extends. So the pace will drop a little, but not a lot. The drivers have to think about that. Now, we've got yellow flags. We may see a safety car, or that may well be for the Yao Hao car that had stopped on the exit turn, when you see it just on the screen there with the officials standing by. So it might just be a localised yellow. That'll force the cars to slow down. No overtaking under yellow flag conditions. You can't see the yellow flags there now, so they're back into action. So tyre wear will be another thing. Where do you use your tyres? Do you use your fresh tyres for the start of race 1 and race 2? Or do you use it for the start of race 1 and the start of race 3? There's a whole number of elements they've got to take into consideration.
So Eduardo Mortara is leading the overall race. Down in the amateur division, Kevin Chen is in the lead from Alex Au, Ashraf Deval and Johnson Huang with 2 laps gone.
Of course, we got a second race this afternoon, about 4 hours' time. There you see the number 95 car, the J-Fly racing car of Yan Hao on screen. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a driver behind the wheel by the looks of things, so it's unlikely that car will go much further in this race. Safety car board now out. That will be frustration for Eduardo Mortara. He got a great start. He worked his way to the lead. And you saw that unfortunate issue for Thomas Fjordbach. So we will find out some more down in pit lane with Mark.
Well, I can just give you a little bit of information from the start. From our position on the pit wall standing, looking very, very close to the cars, we could see that Mortara and Marchili in second were just about 2 feet short of their grid box. Fjordbach in third was right at the top, so already he had 2 feet on the competition. Then he had a lightning quick start, and that was partly why he was able to get into the lead. And then just across from where we're watching, turn 8 was where there was contact. Couldn't quite exactly see what was happening, but we could see pieces of car flying. There's some debris on the track, so lots of drama. The safety car, apparently we're just hearing, has gone in, so let's send it back upstairs and get back to the action.
So there's the safety car. So we'll have Eduardo Mortara line the field up behind the great-looking Audi safety car there. So unfortunately for Mortara, all that hard work at the start, he's lost it, and Aditya Patel must be absolutely happy now because he knows the guy in front's got more weight. So he'll be hitting that push-to-pass button when the lights go green again.
How much does hero status work in these things? If you're a young guy with an ability, you've worked your way through, you've been watching guys like Mortara or Rahel Frey on television, you know they're fantastic drivers, all of a sudden you're sitting at a restart immediately behind that car in front of you. Do you use a little bit of cheek and fire it up the inside just to see what the reaction will be? Or do in awe you sit behind them and just see what you can learn by being on track behind them? I can't imagine Aditya Patel, who's right in this championship, is going to be too worried. As we spoke about yesterday, Eduardo Mortara is not in the championship hunt. This may be the only time we see him in Asia this year. So he's aware that essentially he is the leading car in this championship on track at the moment. Interesting, all the strategies we tried to play out before the race started. That hasn't really worked for anybody, has it? Poor old Marchi Lee's further back in the order. Alex Jung is moving forward a little bit more, but the order has certainly got very, very interesting.
So hopefully the safety car will be coming in soon. Mortara in the lead from Aditya Patel. Frankie Chen is P3. Alex Young must be looking at those two in front of him, Aditya Patel and Frankie Chen, hoping to make a jump on those two. Marchili is P5. Kevin Chen currently leads the amateur division in round 6. Stefan Montesi is 7. Kim McKinn is 8th, Jeffrey Lee 9th, and KOU is 10th. That's your top 10 as they just wind their way through turns 13, and they'll be coming into turn 14 fairly soon. So we'll see if the safety car will be just going on around the track for another lap. But I'm sure if you're watching in India, you'll be shouting out Jai Ho Aditya Patel to win this race. And it just goes to show, Aditya Patel shows how you actually try and win the championship, because yes, you can go for, as you were saying, you can go for glory and get the winner's trophy, but this is a season-long championship, and Aditya Patel, he's just been picking off those points every round. He's won points 4 out of 4 with that cancelled round 2. So he's been consistent, and consistency is the best, because basically now, as it stands after round 5, he is leading this championship by 3 points, but yet he hasn't won a race.
It's interesting, his closest rival is now shown in position number 18, 1 lap down. So Thomas Fjordbach, who had such a great race in the opening round here, round 5 yesterday, he will sadly not score any significant points, if any, today, and that will allow the advantage for Aditya Patel to continue on at the front of the championship points, and that won't be lost on him. I'm sure he's a smart young guy. He will have looked at this and thought about it. Talking about the guts and glory, race wins versus championships. How many individual race winners in Formula One do you remember? I mean, I guess the real fans can probably tell you how many races that Nigel Mansell won and where, but you remember the champions, don't you? So again, it's the overall battle. It's the championship that these guys need to think about. And when you're a young guy, you're looking to make an impression. Yes, maybe you'll go after the win, but really, you can win championships. We've seen it a number of times over the years without actually winning a race. It's consistency that counts, and being there when the race finishes. As they say, to finish first you have to finish.
Well, it looks like by timing that Thomas Fjordbach, as we entitled the Iceman, is chilling back in the garage, because he looks like he's 3 laps down. So let's just see if the car's still on track. It may be that he's had to retire for some reason. So the Iceman could be chilling back in his garage as the start to wind up, because this could be a restart at the start of this lap.
Yeah, well, certainly backed up the field, Eduardo Mortara. Again, that 50-kilo penalty may not have hampered him too much, but again, he may have used the bulk of his push to pass, knowing that he had an opportunity. He said yesterday when we spoke in the drivers' briefing about Marchi Lee closed in, were you worried about that? He said, really? If you win by a tenth of a second, it's the same as winning by a mile. You've still won the race. That's all that matters. So I was controlling the field, which is exactly what he's going to try and do now on this restart.
So it looks like the safety car has sped up and has left Mortara to control the field. So it looks like we are going to be going green now. We've got 12 laps to go, 4 are in the books, and Aditya Patel must really fancy his chance here. Can he use his push to pass to good effect? The green flag is out, and we are away for round 6 again, and Mortara has gunned it all the way down to turn 1.
There'll be plenty of push to pass going on this restart for drivers to make sure they retain their position. Aditya Patel, yes, in the lead of the championship. The 3 guys immediately behind him, Frankie Cheng, Alex Young, and also Marchi Lee, as Marchi Lee looks very racy. You see Alex pulling to the inside into turn 4 to try and protect that line. They were away at the Nurburgring. They're down a round in overall point scoring. Talking about consistency, you have to be in the race to get the points. Those guys have missed 2 rounds of this championship. Aditya knows that. It's his opportunity to actually fire. There's plenty of action going back. Marchi's involved. He's right in the thick of it again, and he would have liked to have been at the front end of this field. We saw that great start where Eduardo Mortara pulled straight across in front of Marchi because he knew that was the only chance he'd have to get to the front of the field. But since then, it's well and truly mixed up, and the order's very different to what we might have expected before the start of this race.
Now, what is interesting is that Mortara has actually got his windows down, so he's obviously learnt from the first race that the heat is a real killer. So obviously he's trying to keep himself cool by those windows down. And if you look at the other cars, they've got their windows up. So is that a factor that is allowing Mortara just to concentrate a little bit more by just beating the heat?
Heat management is going to be a very big part of this race. The officials really, well, the car's performance is hampered slightly with the aero by having the window down, but in the name of retaining some sort of reasonable cabin temperature, and we're still talking temperatures around 65 degrees if you want to call that reasonable, the only real opportunity they've got to get cool air into this car is to wind down the passenger side window. Some thought it was good, others thought it not so good. Alex Howe tried it and he said it was the only way I was going to get through the race, so I was definitely going to use that opportunity. They don't have a lot of air coming into this car. It's a funnel between 2 very close concrete walls. There's not a lot of gap between the edge of the circuit and the concrete wall, as you see heading down into turn 4. So there's not a lot of opportunity for cool air to blow into the circuit. Even though we're near the water, there's the opportunity for sea breeze to come through. There hasn't been a lot of breeze over this last couple of days. So these drivers don't have a great opportunity to actually cool themselves down, with the exception of actually being able to apply a cool suit. A cool suit pumps cool air through an undergarment, through a piece of underwear essentially. It pipes cold water through the car and through the suit. That can cool the drivers down, but only until the temperatures inside bring the heat right up, and then they're suffering again. I was talking to Daniel Bilski yesterday. He bought a cool suit after practice on Thursday. He said, I'd never have survived. So I bought one. I put it in. He said it lasted 4 laps, and it was just like pumping hot water around the place. So its advantage was 4 laps, but that was at least something, because you're right, Graham, temperature is going to play a huge part in the outcome in this race.
So not only is Aditya Patel and Frankie Chen fighting for P2 on the podium, they're also having a good old tussle in the 4 Rings Trophy division as well, as Marchi Lee tries to take an inside jump on Alex Young, but Alex shuts the door there. And also, just to keep fans of the amateur title up to date, Kevin Chen still leads from Alex Aru. Ashraf Deval is 3rd place in the amateur title.
The Malaysian Ashraf Dewal has been very competitive this year. A consistency again, much like Aditya Patel. In fact, that's put him to the top of the championship points, I think, after round 5 of the championship. So he's right in this mix. So he knows that he needs to stay within striking distance of the leaders of the AM class.
So with 9 laps to go, it's as you were. Mortara's in the lead from Aditya Patel, Frankie Chen, Alex Young. But I think Marchi Lee is going to have something to say about that as he tries to make a move. He's got a little bit of damage on the outside of the car, but Marchi Lee's trying to do it the hard way. But Alex Young's got that momentum.
Around the outside of Alex Young in a big corner like that, I'm not so sure. Marchi has another go. I wonder if these guys shared a room in the Nurburgring. I'm not sure how much love's going to be lost here because there's been lots of contact and a lot of change of position. Stefano Montesi's clearly not really interested in getting involved in this battle. He'll just sit there and wait. But the problem there, of course, is he'll start to come under fire from drivers behind him. At the moment, it looks like Kimi Chin's going to be there. In fact, it's Kevin Chen who's into position. Kevin Chen, of course, driving for the J-Fly racing team with Team Boss and a big player in this Pen Bay International Circuit and this event here with Audi R8 LMS Cup. Of course, Jeffrey Lee, a very long-time competitor in this series. In fact, he's been involved since the very beginning.
And this is a real good tussle. Two former champions of the Audi R8 LMS Cup are duking it out around Pen Bay. Marchilly is trying to get up the inside, and this circuit just goes to show you it's very twisty, turny, 16 turns. You've got to really think about the strategy around these corners and where you set the car up around this track.
Very, very busy circuit. The drivers call it technical when it's very hard. Long changes of direction or quick changes of direction, you don't get a chance to rest. So experienced guys like these two will know how to do what they need to do, where to place the car, how to take advantage of their opponent. But as you say, very, very experienced campaigners. And Marchi, he's very aggressive, isn't he? I mean, he's great for the sport. He really gets involved. He fires the car up the inside, and he's really going to be involved in this race. He doesn't want to just sit there and collect points. I think he's one of those drivers who'd be quite happy to have a large collection of race-winning trophies rather than necessarily lots of championship-winning trophies. But it's very interesting at the front of the field as we're seeing Aditya Patel is holding down position 2 and Frankie Cheng closing in, and see Marchi's just spun. He's clipped the curb on the way in. Oh, that's frustration. We were talking about those high curbs and avoiding them. This has really messed things up for Marchi, and Graham, he's going to have a lot of work to do now to come back through the field.
Yeah, it looks like he's dropped down to P13 there, and Marchilly, he tried to go on the inside, but as you noted yesterday, those blue higher curbs, they really are very hard and high, and if you clip those, then you're going to do some damage to the car, and he span around. So basically, Marchilly took a gamble around that turn and sadly lost, so the heat is off for Alex Young for a while. He's got Stefan Montesi now chasing him, so now Alex Young can concentrate on getting onto the podium as he tries to get closer to Frankie Chen in 3rd and Aditya Patel in P2.
The big fear for Marchi Lee is that it hasn't done more damage to the car. When we walked around the circuit with Alex Au on Thursday, he pointed these curbs out and he said, really, if you clip them, you're going to do damage. We know how bulletproof these Audi R8s are. We've seen some big impacts over recent years, and yet the car is invariably back on track immediately after. In the next race, a few hours later, they're a very, very well-built car. But bouncing him into curbs at speed like that can be very problematic. So we'll keep a close eye on Marchi Lee as this race continues. Currently position number 12. No, he's dropping back down the order. He was 10th as we were starting to locate him in the list, and he looks like he's continuing to drop back. So he may have a bigger problem by virtue of hitting that curb on the run down to turn 5.
Now this weekend's quite unique. We've got 3 races over 2 days. This is actually the first of a double header. Yesterday, Eduardo was doing about a fastest lap of 1 minute 40 dead. Now it's like about 1 minute 41.782. That's the fastest lap so far. Is he protecting the car, realising that he's got a 3rd race later on today?
I'd say that's exactly what he's doing, Graham. As he said yesterday, the only time he really used the push to pass after the start was to ensure he got the fastest time in race 1, because that set the grid for race 2. Unfortunately for Edo, the grid for race 3 will be set by championship points. Now, when we had the drivers briefing on Friday ahead of the race, we were talking about how it would play out and how the grid would be set, and Edo made the point that, look, we'll be disadvantaged out the drivers that come in and only maybe do 1 race, and the officials said quite rightly, of course you will. It's in the regulations, that's the rule, but now you have to work your way through the field. We're not going to gift you pole position. You have to work for it. So you will be starting most likely midfield tomorrow for the 3rd and final race of this weekend. Sorry, this afternoon for the 3rd and final race of this weekend. So the action isn't finished, and Edo knows that if he's put in that position, he's going to need the tyres, he's going to need to be fresh enough, and he's going to need to push as hard as he can and take the opportunity to pass where there is an opportunity to pass. Apart from lapping cars, he really hasn't had to be involved in passing too many cars so far this weekend.
And if you're fans of Kevin Chen, then you can probably open the champagne now, because he is in P6 and he is about, let's say, about 19 seconds in front of Alex Aru, who's second in the amateur race. So if you're a fan of Kevin Chen, then it looks like he's going to be winning round 6 for the amateurs. But back at the front, Mortara's got a 3.5-second jump over Aditya Patel with Frankie Chen, and Alex Young's just dropped off the pace a little bit. He's 8 seconds behind Eduardo, and Stefan Montesi is in 5th place.
Marchi Lee continues to drop down the order. That's frustrating for him. No, in fact, he's starting to move forward. So that is actually a good piece of news. 143 dead last time round. 142.0 is the pace of the race leader, Edo Mortara. Patel's doing a great job, just nice and consistent, and probably like the race leader, he knows I don't need to push anymore. What we don't know just yet is which teams have opted for new tyres for the start of this race and which teams have taken on the tyres they used in race number 1. Again, there won't be a lot of difference between the Control Michelin tyres. There's a little bit of wear. It will drop off just a fraction, but it is all part of the strategic game over the 3 races this weekend.
Well, before the start of the race, Aditya Patel was leading by 3 points. Fjellback is now out of the race, so it's a bit like Eurovision. Denmark, nul point. And then you've got Rahul Freisch is not here, Carl Verne is not here, and then his nearest competitor who is actually going to pick up the points now is Alex Young. So he's going to have a massive jump in the standings after this race.
This will be, well, we're seeing Alex Young on screen. That's Montesi trying to have a look down the inside. That's very impressive from Stefano. You've seen him over the last few seasons. He has continued to improve. A little bit of oversteer, got on the throttle probably just a little bit too early, and that is going to open the door for Kevin Chen. No, not quite, but he's in a watching brief in the J-Fly Racing Audi, and Stefano may have just run a little bit too wide there, and that's opened the door for Kevin. He's got the inside run into turn 5. Kevin won't get around the outside there, but now it is a 4-car battle because his team boss, Jeffrey Lee, has just ranged up behind him and moved into this equation in position number 7.
So we've got 5 laps to go. Eduardo Mortara looks like he's actually going to have this race in the bag, and sadly we had a competitor there just dropping down the field, but it's still Alex Young holding his positioning at Stefano Montesi.
That was team orders. Did you notice that? That was Kevin Chen moving over for Jeffrey Lee because, as you said, Kevin looks like he's going to take the AM class victory. He's comfortably clear of Alex Au now, who's in position number 2, back in 11th position. So clearly he's processed in his own mind, I'll let Jeffrey through because Jeffrey's starting to work up the order. It's not going to affect my result in the AM class. Okay, it may affect my result in the outright, but let's get Jeffrey through onto the tail of this pack. So Jeffrey Lee, the 3rd car in that group on screen now, the white car from J-Fly Racing. He will be very keen to get onto the tail of Stefano Montesi, and who knows, he may yet get past Alex Young. And as you say, Alex Young knows where he is in this championship. He, like the drivers in front of him, very clever campaigner. He will know what he needs to do. He's not going to breach that gap between 3rd and 4th.
And Frankie Chen has overtaken Aditya Patel, so now we've got a change on the podium. Frankie Chen is P2, Aditya Patel is P3, so Frankie has obviously been saving his car to have a late charge in the latter part of this race.
Clearly Aditya didn't quite have enough push to pass left over to be able to keep that challenge from happening and the change in position, but again, is it going to be important for the overall championship? As Jeffrey Lee looks up the inside of Stefano Montesi, be keen to make sure there's no contact. We saw what happened when Marchi Lee got forced further infield to try and make a similar move, and he hit that big curb. In fact, you can see Marchi starting to mount a bit of a recovery back behind this group. Still shown in position 10, but boy, he's had to do it hard this weekend. Drive-through penalty in the first race and come through from the tail end of the 10 again for race number 2.
And great shots from the onboard camera here. You can just see how, kind of, as the drivers say, technical and busy this circuit is. You always seem to be on the turn here as they go up towards turn 11, and then it's like a 180 down to turn 12.
Very tough part of the circuit here. You can see a big sweeping, almost 180-degree left-hander, followed immediately by a big sweeping 180-degree right-hander. 2nd and 3rd gear corners, most of the corners here. The drivers were complaining of something interesting after practice, and that was neck pain, because of the huge change of direction and the constant radius, keeping the G-forces loaded up in the corners that we're looking at now. So they were a little bit concerned about the additional strain on the neck. The other thing that's interesting too, being such a tight circuit, Daniel Bilski, the Australian who's racing in the AM class, was on the podium yesterday. He said when you look through the corner on turn-in, the A pillar invariably is right in the middle of your view, so you're almost turning in blind. You're also sitting very low in the car, so whilst you might think you can see the bonnet, you can see across the front of the car, they can see nothing past the edge of the windscreen, so you've got to take all of this into consideration. Now, Alex Young has comfortably moved forward. Jeffrey Lee has got through on Stefano Montesi now to take away position number 5. And Kevin Chen now is going to mount a bit of an assault on the Montesi car and see if he can't follow his team boss across the line for a J-Fly Racing 4-5.
So do you think Kevin Chen, if he gets in front of Stefano Montesi, he'll be Jeffrey Lee's rear gunner for the rest of the race?
Why wouldn't you be? I think that's what teamwork's about. In most cases, it may not be in the Mercedes Formula One team, but certainly in this instance, it looked like the gentlemanly move that Kevin put on to let Jeffrey take position away. You'd say that these guys are working together as a team. That was a very good move, and it's brought Jeffrey well and truly into this equation. Otherwise, he would have had to work his way past his teammate, then try and get ahead of Montesi before the end of this race. With 3 laps to go, there's not very much longer to travel. 3.6 seconds, the difference between Eduardo Mortara and Frankie Cheng now in position number 2. Looks like Aditya Patel may not be about to mount an attack on Frankie's position, but a podium finish for the young Indian driver will be valuable points nonetheless.
And down in the AM Cup, the amateur division, there's a real old tussle between Alex Auer and Ashraf Deval. They're only about 0.6 of a second between them, so that's going to be a real good old dogfight right down to the end in this amateur title for the podium between Alex Auer and Ashraf Deval. Kevin Chen is in P7, so hopefully as long as he keeps it on the straight and narrow, he'll be picking up his trophy as the winner. But with just now officially 2 laps to go, it's Mortara in the lead from Frankie Chen and Aditya Patel with Alex Young in P4.
This has been a great battle on screen. Stefano Montesi, we've been talking about, has been very quick over the last few rounds. He's enjoying racing at the front of the field. Essentially an AM class driver, but considers himself a pro to push himself that little bit harder and have something to gauge himself by. He's showing that he's got the AM class leader behind him, so his pace is certainly at that level. As Marchi's having another drum into turn 5, he's still trying to get his way back through the field, just tied up there behind Kimi Chin and KOU. As Kevin Chen again looks to try and find a way around Stefano. He's doing a very, very good job making that car very wide, but that's his job. Frankie doesn't, Kevin rather, doesn't need to make the position up. He is the AM class leader, but a race is a racer, aren't they, Graham? You want to gain a position. If you are in a position to move forward, you're going to want to race the other driver, and this race has not got long left. Stefano's left the door open side by side. Through there's not going to be, oh, what a spin. No, all that great work. Now, what's that going to do? Who's the next AM class driver? It's the CTVS car that's coming around now. That is position 2 in AM class. So Alex Au will likely take over the win. All that great work that Kevin had done has come unstuck in one move. And that was very frustrating for him, I'm sure. It caught him out just a little bit as we head into the final lap with race leader Eduardo Mortara.
So Mortara is on his victory lap, so to speak. Frankie Chen seems to have absolutely locked in P2. Aditya Patel is going to have the final place on the podium. Alex Young's going to finish a solid P4. Alex Au now looks like he's actually going to win the amateur division because Kevin Chen has fallen all the way down to P14. So Alex Au with CTVS car is going to be taking the champagne in about 2 kilometers time. But Eduardo Mortara, when he's in these type of cars, he is absolutely unstoppable, and this weekend he's unbeatable.
He's been a popular... Oh, now Jeffrey Lee, the 2 J-Fly cars on the last lap. It's all come unstuck. Oh, frustration. I mean, what can they do? They've done everything right through this race. It gets to the last couple of minutes, and it's all come unstuck. Looks like a little bit of contact at the front of Jeffrey's car. Now, he was in a battle. He was trying to move his way onto the tail of Aditya Patel and Alex Young, but it may be that he's got caught up with a slower car, but this will be a good victory for Eduardo Mortara, perhaps a surprise victory in race 2, but the big crowd here have gone nuts over this Italian driver. Of course, a 6-time winner at the Macau Grand Prix. Very, very popular in Asia.
So here comes Eduardo Mortara, 2 out of 2 this weekend. Eduardo wins round 6 of the Audi R8 LMS Cup here at Pembe, Taiwan. And second is Frankie Chen. We're just waiting for Aditya Patel. He now finishes in P3. Alex Young, we're just going to wait to see if he comes through. Here he comes, and it's a late charge between himself and Stefano Montesi, but I think Alex Young over the line, and he gets P4 from Stefano Montesi, P5. Then it's Kimi Quinn in 6th. 7th is Kao Yu. 8th, finally, is Marchi Lee. Alex Au, what a great effort that is. He finishes in P9 and takes the amateur division of round 6. So Alex Au wins from Ashraf Deval and Johnson Huang. That's your podium for the AM Cup. And then 12th is Daniel Bilski. 13th, poor old Jeffrey Lee. 14th is Kevin Chen. And it looks like we're going to be waiting for Jackie Young. Hopefully he's going to be finishing in 15th from Winch Lee, and Sam Locke will be 17th. And sad old Thomas Fjordbach, well, he started, but he didn't finish the race, and his classification there will be 15 laps behind the winner.
Disappointment for the local fans. They're very, very keen to see Jeffrey Lee do well. There was a lot of cheering up there on top of the pit buildings where the grandstand is. You could hear it down here in commentary as Jeffrey Lee started to work his way forward in this field, but it all came unstuck. Maybe it's your commentator's curse. You were basically handing the trophy to Kevin Chen, and look what happened on the last race. But of course his teammate did exactly the same thing. But a good result for the sport here in Taiwan. Another good race for Audi R8 LMS Cup. You'd see how close the AM class battle was after Kevin Chen spun, because you had Alex Au, Ashraf Dewell, Johnson Huang, who won race 1 yesterday, and Daniel Bilski, who was also on the podium yesterday, finishing almost nose to tail as they came across the line at the end of this 16-lap race. So another good result. But who can stop this guy? Well, we know who can stop this guy, because the results now, the championship points, will set the grid for race 3 this afternoon. And by virtue of this being his first event in the 6 rounds that we've had so far this year, he won't be off pole later. We expect that will be Aditya Patel. So Edo Mortara, another nice job in the car that Rahul Frey had leading the points coming into this round. Good result for him, but he's got plenty of work ahead of him for race 3 of this weekend, round 7 of the championship this afternoon.
And there is the current series leader, Aditya Patel from India. I'm sure many fans in that country are watching on the live streaming, and good morning to you. Don't forget, we've got another race this afternoon, so come back to us and check out the website, audi8lmscup.com. All the times are there, and some great features as well. So although we race at weekends, always go to that website, because during the whole time there's updates and little news features and vignettes and highlights on that website. So it's well worth going back and checking it at least once a week, just to find out what is happening in the world of Audi R8 LMS Cup.
Of course, you've also got social media, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. You will find Audi R8 LMS Cup on facebook.com/Audi R8 LMS Cup. Good result there for Aditya Patel. If we look back at how he's gone this year, the worst result he has had is 4th. He finished 3rd in the opening race in Zhuhai. In the second race that was declared after just 2 laps, no points scored, he finished 2nd. The 3rd round of the championship in South Korea just a month ago, he finished in position number 4. The second race in South Korea, he finished in position number 3, and here he is back on the podium again. This is how you put a championship together. So very nice work. So down with Sophie in pit lane with race winner Edo Mortara.
Edo, congratulations for the win. You lose your position at the start, but moments later you're back in the lead. Talk us what happened.
Yeah, there were a few fights on the first lap. I mean, my start wasn't great. It was my first lap, my first ever start in this category in standing starts. So I was not really used to the clutch. And my getaway was not perfect, for sure. So I lost 2 positions there. Forgot also to use the push to pass also at the beginning. So that didn't help. And then I had to fight. Yeah, I mean, I had a contact with Marchi and Frankie. Luckily, I mean, I escaped it first after the first lap, and then I could put a gap. Today I just pushed straight away, and till the last laps here.
Thank you so much for the answer. And now it's our time to back to our commentator.
Thank you, Sophie. And that was an amazing interview. How could he win that? But that wasn't. I think that's technically not a perfect start by a professional racing driver.
It shows he's human, doesn't it? That was the first thing I thought. You forgot to hit push to pass off the start, and okay, he's done standing starts in DTM, but yeah, well, there you go. It's not a foregone conclusion. He had to work hard to get this result, so he deserved it. He's a professional racing driver. This is what he does, and he had to battle some adversity in order to get that position, but certainly it made for an interesting race. And certainly the local drivers would have been keen to take the fight up to him as the race wore on. So down with Sophie, back in pit lane.
Well, Frankie started from 5th and ended in 2nd. You definitely did a fantastic job. And talk us through your overtaking move over Aditya Patel at the very last.
Well, I had a decent start, didn't get any position, didn't lose any position. And in the first lap, there were so many moments in front of me, so I had to really pay attention as this circuit is very narrow. And as is the result, I think Machi and Thomas or Edo, maybe they had contact, so I took the advantage against few positions. And in the middle of the race, and Adia made a mistake, wrong wide T3, I just took the advantage. All in all, the car felt very good, and compared to yesterday, actually even better, even with the 35 kilos. So I'm really pleased with so far has gone in Taiwan. And this afternoon we have a final race. I hope we can be competitive again.
Good luck, thank you so much, and back to our commentator.
Thank you, Sophie. Now, as Aditya Patel, Frankie is picking off those points. Okay, he missed Korean's round, but in Zhuhai, he picked up some 10 points. And so far this weekend, he's been picking up the points. So he could be a challenger later on down the line. And it just goes to show that, yeah, you can win the trophies, but consistency is what wins the championship.
And he'd be well aware of that. You know only too well, since 2012, he has been one of the hot contenders, but he hasn't been able to put a championship together. That takes consistency, it takes results, and he's certainly ticked them off. Now we're heading back down to pit lane. We should have Sophie with the man we're talking about, Aditya Patel.
Well, Aditya, you lost your position at the very end, but still a podium finish for you in Taiwan. So sum up your race today.
It started off well, actually. Got off to a decent start. I stayed clear of all the carnage on the first lap. And then I followed Edo for a while. It was a little difficult to drive in this heat, so was making a few mistakes. Frankie was driving really well. He was just waiting because he saw me do it early, and he waited for a mistake, and he took advantage of it. And then after that, because it was easy to make mistakes, I just kept the car clean, brought it to the finish. Just have to do a little setup for the next race and see how it goes.
And good luck this afternoon. Thanks. And now it's our time to back to our commentator.
Thank you, Sophie. And boy, it almost looks like we're in Miami. Look at that beautiful scene with the palm trees and stuff. But we're lucky enough to be in Penbei, Taiwan. We're in the south of the country. And let's just take a look and see the official results. Eduardo Mortara wins from Frankie Chen, Aditya Patel. Alex Young's P4. In P5 was Stefano Montesi from Kimi Quinn. Then it's KOU Marchili. Alex Aru P9. He'll be loving that because he's won the amateur title.
Ashraf Dewell in position number 10 ahead of Johnson Huang, who won the AM class yesterday. Daniel Bilski, that is Kevin Chen, has recovered, which is good for 13th, but he led this class for the bulk of this race. There's Jackie Jung, Jeffrey Lee, Winch Lee, Sam Locke and Thomas Fjordbach, who unfortunately was forced into retirement after running very, very well in the opening lap and finishing third here yesterday. The one I think is going to be interesting is Frankie Cheng. In fact, I might almost put $5 on him winning this third and final race because he's done that with a 35 kilo weight penalty. By virtue of finishing second again, he will carry 35 kilos into that next race. He said the car felt better, he looked fresh, and under the pressure of the other drivers around him and the intense heat, he seemed to make the most of that. We've got to remember that Edo is going to be starting mid-pack in the third and final race. They've all got the same push to pass. They'll have similar conditioned tyres. So it will be interesting to see who will be able to attack at the front of the field. And it looks, for my mind, that Frankie Cheng could be the man this weekend.
And Aditya Patel, he's obviously thinking in his head, well, I'm picking up the points. Fjordbach got no points. He could really, this weekend could be a really good foundation for his championship hopes.
Oh, you're exactly right. And they've got to take these into consideration because, again, it's championships that you want to be putting together. So a nice job for him.
So let's just take a breather. It was an absolutely fantastic race. So let's have a quick look back and see how round 6 was won and lost.
What a good race it was. Edo Mortara, 2 from 2 so far. That's actually 5 from 5. He's competed in Audi R8 LMS Cup 5 times, 3 times prior to this, twice as the round that was in Shanghai in 2012, end of the season, and then once during the one-off race they did at Macau that you were at a couple of seasons ago. So this is his 3rd event with the series, and a perfect record so far. 5 starts, 5 wins. Not quite perfect. Alex Jung defeated him for pole in Shanghai, so he is human and he is beatable. So we'll see what happens in this 3rd race. He's got the pressure on. He's one of the most successful Audi campaigners in the world, and certainly in Asia. He's 6 wins in Macau, not all with Audi. Of course, some of those were with Formula 3. Shows that he is a very, very talented individual, but he's getting a fair lesson on the Far East this weekend with the heat and the conditions that he has to race in. Great circuit, Pen Bay. We weren't quite sure. This is the first international class event that the circuit has had since it was opened in October 2011. So.
Distinguished guests, dear friends, thank you for joining me. It's a special Airlines Cup 2015.
现在呢，为大家送上的是
我们的2015年奥迪200 MS 杯第6场比赛的总冠军颁奖仪式现在正式开始。Now, the awarding ceremony gathered over ROUND6 race of 2015 Audi R8 MS Cup is now officially inaugurated. 接下来将会为大家宣布此次第6场比赛的结果。首先为各位宣布的是，本次比赛中获得季军的是来自。
So here we go. Here's the podium, and fairly soon, Eduardo Mortara. Obviously, he could probably do this in his sleep. Get out the car, go up the steps, take a left, go onto the podium, pick up the trophy, pick up the champagne. So 2 for 2. There's Aditya Patel. He is a happy bunny today. He, of course, is leading the series, and coming out next will be Frankie Chen. Frankie is another consistent driver. He has picked up points in every race he has competed in this Audi R8 LMS Cup. And surprise, surprise, the man on top of the podium is Mr. Mortara.
好，所以恭喜3位车手呢拿下了冠亚季军啊！这个Mortara表现得相当优异，他避开了这个所有的事故，相当的不错。然后呢，这个车手服务员也非常的优异，拿下了来自这个阿迪亚帕特拿下的季军。
谢谢。好，那现场的各位嘉宾朋友，现在有请大家起立奏冠军国歌。Now, ladies and gentlemen, please raise for the national anthem of the champion. Thank you， 谢谢。好，接下来将会我们的获胜者颁发奖杯。Now awarding the trophy to the winner, candidate over man by Mr. managing director of Audi.
So now we have the trophy presentations, and I think Aditya Patel is going to get his trophy. Oh no, it'll be at number 1. So Eduardo Mortara lifts his winner's trophy, so he'll have to get a new trophy cabinet fairly soon. He's running out of space, I think.
Don't know that he's going to be doing too much lifting. How tired do the boys look? In fact, Frankie looks like he's really worked very, very hard. Nice result. Second, still with that 35-kilogram penalty. The winner, of course. He's also got 50 kilos. Not only is he starting mid-pack again in the final race, but he's carrying that 50-kilo penalty by virtue of having won race 2, round 6 of the championship just now. So Aditya Patel, he's got a slight weight penalty, but he's looking pretty good because he will start from pole position.
And let's not forget, India is a really big emerging market. They've got a very strong middle class, a very affluent middle class, and Audi is a prestigious brand in the country, and Aditya Patel, this is the future. India's becoming a major force in motorsport as well.
It's interesting talking to him at the opening round of the championship. He said that despite the fact that we've got one of the biggest populations in the world, many hundreds of millions of people, there's not too many racing drivers. There's not too many people actually in the program to come through from the junior ranks in India into competition at this level. So he's very proud to represent his home country, but very nice young man, talks very well, and a very able driver, as we have seen.
So one more group photo. And don't forget, the second race today, it will be going off at 2:15 Taiwan, Singapore time. So if you're in Europe, just work out the time difference. It will be at 2:15 race start for round 7 here today, as we get all the photos done. Can Eduardo Mortara make it a treble over the weekend to come back and watch us as we just gradually wrap up proceedings for round 6 here in Taiwan?
If he does it, it will be a mammoth effort, and he will be widely regarded around the world as being the superstar that he is, but it will be a big job. It's a very tight circuit. We see overtaking is not all that easy, so it'll be nice to watch this. I'm looking forward to the final race. I'm not so sure the drivers are. They were very exhausted after racing in the heat yesterday afternoon, and they've just completed their first race. The heat hasn't dissipated too much, but they will be very keen to make sure that champagne doesn't get covered on overalls, because they have one more race in 65 degrees plus to race this afternoon. So they'll be off to cool themselves down. I haven't seen too many ice baths this weekend, but certainly that is something that does happen regularly for sports people that compete at this level.
So now we have the man with the biggest smile in Taiwan at the moment, because Alex Au will be picking up his winner's trophy from the amateur division of round 6 of the Audi R8 LMS Cup. It looked like that Kevin Chen had it in the bag, but just overdid it, and the luckiest man today, Alex Au, he drove really well. He had a good hard drive, and it's the old Gary Player adage, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And Alex worked hard today, and Alex Au comes and picks up his trophy fairly soon for the winner of the amateur title. And in third place there is Johnson Huang. Ashraf Deval will be coming up fairly soon, and Alex Au will be last out to pick up his winner's trophy.
He'll be very happy with that. Has been a regular podium finisher and race winner in the AM class over the last few seasons, Alex Au, but very disappointed in his performance yesterday. He said, "I was really knocked around by the heat. I didn't quite expect that it would have the big impact that it did," but he just kept at it, and there he is on top of the podium. So a very nice result here for Alex Au.
Congratulations to Alex again. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Konga. 接下来请出的是一位外圈颁奖的嘉宾，有请奥迪台湾形象处长 Edward Butler 先生。Awarding to the second place man by Mr. Edward Butler, Sales Director Audi Taiwan, please. 恭喜！再次恭喜我们的第2名的获得者Ashraf Deval。Congratulations to Ashraf again. Thank you, Mr. Butler. 接下来请出的是位季军颁奖嘉宾，有请奥迪台湾公路发展处长翁蔚珊女士。Awarding the trophy to third place man by Miss Stephanie Wong, Dealer Development Director of Audi Taiwan, please. Congratulations to Mr. John Wong again. Thank you, Miss Wong. 恭喜我们有请各位车手一同欢迎 Now invite to take a photo. 我们车手们已经等不及了，相机之后吧。
finish, but one more to go. And Adol with 50 kilos in his car, he seems to be really competitive on Pohnpei International Circuit here. This afternoon, the hotter temperature going to definitely challenge the driver's performance, but please stay tuned with us at 2 p.m. Beijing time on Audi RE LMS Cup. See you later.